Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and today I have the privilege of interviewing Justin Williamson. He's recently had a Facebook post that went viral. The Facebook post talks about his testimony, and he placed it on Facebook to reach his sister who was still in addiction. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you.
Let's start by telling your testimony.
Okay. Let's see, I started using drugs when I was 16. Started with marijuana. It was right after I got my license. And that coordinated with me falling off in school, stopped trying, skipping school. That marijuana addiction, I believe, was filling some kind of void in my life. I was raised right, so it wasn't my upbringing. It was something in my soul that I was longing for or needed to feel that I wasn't feeling or I didn't know what I was looking for. I was looking in the wrong places. Maybe acceptance, love, and I felt that with the drugs and the community that goes with that. And so we moved to LaGrange from Hogansville when I was 17 or 18, and I had met somebody in the neighborhood who I looked up to. He was older. Call it peer pressure or whatever you may, or fate now looking back, that maybe this happened for a reason. But he introduced me to crystal meth. I started using crystal meth, quit school, got my GED.
How old were you when you started using crystal meth?
18.
18.
27 now. So it was a long time. I had a job. I'm using meth, and my job is there solely to financially support my habit. So, going hand in hand with that drug use is the crowd you keep, the influences around you, your drive and ambition for anything other than what you're already doing, which is using drugs, and your only outlook for tomorrow is how you're going to get more drugs, and most likely it's by any means necessary, no matter who's in the way. And my drug use was rapidly snowballing downhill from that day with numerous arrests. Looking back, these are all God's work, putting things in my way to try to open my eyes, but I guess I just had to keep walking further in that valley.
Yes.
And
we don't know until we know, do we?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's all in perspective. So it kept going down, and I lost numerous jobs, relationships. What I know now is I had no friends. I only had leeches or acquaintances or whatever you may, who only wanted to keep me in that hell hole that I was in. And let's see, with all the crimes, I'm going to skip over a lot of the crimes, but they're numbered from auto theft was the first one. That was a felony, and I didn't serve but 3 weeks in jail before I got out and was on probation, so it was like a little slap on the wrist. I didn't really feel like I suffered from it, so I just felt like it was a small price to pay for what I thought was the fun I was having using drugs. So
yes.
I said, well, that was worth it, so I'm going to keep using. And, somewhere in between, my family knew, either from the rapid weight loss and the stonewall personality I'd become, the non-public confrontation or talks with anybody, the paranoia, I can go on and on about that. More drug uses, and more charges as well. July of 2013, I was with another acquaintance. My drug use had gotten really bad. I had lost 120 pounds.
Wow.
My parents were off to celebrate my niece's birthday and just left me at home. You know, they didn't include me in that for obvious reasons. And I was up to a using habit of about $300 to $400 every 2 or 3 days, and most of the time it wasn't my money. It was money I was getting, you know, by unethical means. So anyway, I'm selling these trailers on Craigslist and stolen trailers and getting money, and I ended up burglarizing a building. Well, you know, not to glorify the crime or talk about that, but anyway, I went to jail July of 2013. They charged me with 6 felonies, ranging from burglary, possession of meth, 2 theft by takings, theft by receiving, criminal attempt to commit a felony. And you know, I'd been in so much trouble in my past, and I was so hopeless, and literally at the time I was reflecting on where I was in my life there from the day even I started using marijuana, as far as friends and family, and even just feeling like I had somebody to go to talk to that I never had the day that I got locked up in July. You know, I was so alone in every aspect of the word and the meaning.
Yes.
Alone. And I was in there for 3 months until my aunt and uncle posted my bond. And you know, I had 3 months to my court date, and I'm still in that mindset, even though I know, you know, I'm reflecting on my feelings and the differences in me and my personality and my life and all that in hindsight. But I just felt like, you know, I'm going to prison. You know, maybe I'm stuck here, I'm hopeless. This is what I'm destined to do because this is what I signed up for. So I knew that I had 3 months to use as much drugs as I wanted to and be as reckless as I could, with pretty much total disregard of my own life.
Yeah.
And,
so it wasn't something where you thought, I got to pull it together. It was something where you thought, well, I just might as well.
Well, deep down, I thought, you know, even throughout the whole 7, 8 years I'm using, especially meth, you know, I wanted to stop using meth. I wanted to stop so bad. It's exactly what I wanted. And I wanted a normal life with, you know, I wanted to start a family. I wanted a job.
Yes.
I wanted to have support. I wanted to have a group, you know, faith in something. And, you know, I didn't know how to go about doing it, or I was ashamed of what I was actively doing and didn't know how to speak to anybody about it. But, you know, the whole time I wanted to stop, but it had such a grip on me, you know, physically, emotionally, everything. I was like, there was nobody for me to turn to, so I turned to drugs. And the 3 months after I bonded out, you know, this is when it got real bad. I started picking up needles, and I became an IV drug user. And you know, that was something even for somebody who was doing meth, I said, you know, that's something I'll never do. That's disgusting.
Right.
So, you know, for me to, it's just symbolic of where I had gotten, you know, so beat up.
Mm-hmm.
And started using. I know my court date was January the 8th of 2014. Well, January 5th, I'd been up binging for 3-4 days with an old acquaintance, and we left a friend's house going toward my acquaintance's home to sleep. This was on a Sunday morning, January 5th, and we're going down the interstate toward Wattsville Road, and when he's getting off the exit, they got the little bumps that let you know you're veering off the road.
Yes.
He started hitting them, and I looked over and, he was kind of nodding, so I screamed at him. He woke up. He got off the exit. I said, maybe I was just as out of it as he was, because most people would be like, pull over, let me drive, or stop. I just said, pull in McDonald's drive-through. I'll get you a drink. So we got something to drink and pulled right out, and was headed toward Bartley Road. And somewhere in between the interstate there and Bartley Road, I remember I told him, roll all the windows down, turn the music up, try to keep them awake. And it was cold out. So we're going, and we're doing 65, 70 miles an hour, I'm sure. And it's quiet, and I'm just looking ahead, looking out the window, and I notice, the grass coming in. So I screamed at him that he was going off the road. He wakes up, and he snatches the wheel like this. And by that time, we're going down embankment. All four of them wheels hit the grass, and, I know it's fixing to, get ugly. But the thing I remember, and I don't remember much from the accident, I remember the seconds before, like I'm just describing. I screamed, he snatched the wheel, we're going down an embankment, and it seemed like a split second. I didn't hear any wind coming in the windows. I didn't hear the music at all. It was extremely peaceful and quiet.
Yes.
And in an instant, we hit a embankment, came up, and I just remember looking out and seeing that first tree limb touch that windshield, and like that I was out. And it seemed like that I came back to. And the car's on his driver's side, the roof's wrapped around a tree. My acquaintance is not even in the car. I'm screaming, panicking. I don't know if I'm hearing gas drip or what. I'm hanging in my seatbelt. I've got blood here, and I got scars up here and blood from my face. I'm trying to get out of the seatbelt. So I get out of the seatbelt, still in shock or adrenaline or what. Don't know what the car looks like. Just know that something like this has never happened to me, and I know it's bad. The car's on its side. I climb out to that I'm standing on the passenger side door, and I'm holding on to a tree. And I'm looking around, and I see so many cars stopped, and people are running towards me. They're screaming. I don't even look for my acquaintance. I don't know if I'm in that post-concussion state, but I look up the embankment where the grass met the pavement of the road, and I know this for a fact. I seen a man, a woman, and a small girl, their daughter, and they were all on their knees facing the embankment, and they were all holding hands, and they had their heads bowed praying. At the time I didn't think nothing about it because this was all happening so fast.
Yes.
So, I see that, and then there's so many other people running down and parking, and I jump off, and excuse me. They ended up, I had to lay down in the ditch. Civilians were there. Ironically, one of them was an off-duty paramedic.
I think that was God.
God, that's what I was about
God
to say.
sent that paramedic.
God sent that person
Yes.
there. And they stopped the bleeding. The ambulance people came, and I was looking up the whole time. They wanted me to stay still, and so many things were going through my head. But I know I was on a helicopter. I went to Columbus from the scene of the accident, and I don't know what was going through my head. I think my entire life up to that point was going through my head.
Yes, I want to know about the turnaround.
Right.
How did that happen? Was it in jail, or was it outside jail? Where did that happen?
Okay, after I got out of jail, I went to drug court, and in the first 2 weeks in drug court, I was still failing drug tests, every drug test I took. So, I know I was working God's plan. They sent me to rehab, And I was in jail 3 months, waiting to go to rehab. And you know, somebody that I had looked up to for all the wrong reasons during my drug use. Somebody who was real big, and you know, all the drug users looked up to him or whatever. And he was already in prison and been in prison several times. Had come back to the Troup County Jail for other charges, and they happened to put him in my dorm. And you know, he had, anybody who knows him knows that jailhouse religion didn't go with him. You know, he's always said he's never been about it, and he's been in prison numerous times and ain't never even gave it a chance. And this time, you know, he came back and he was all about it, and he was up on his knowledge, and he had a Bible, and that's all he wanted to talk about. And he wanted to hold Bible studies in his room and stuff like that. And you know, so I looked up for him for the wrong reasons. So, you know, I had the experience, and so I started attending. And it seems like every lesson he was given, I know one day, I know God spoke directly to me through him. It's like I was thinking something in my mind, because he was explaining some story from the Bible, and I was thinking about, you know, how that correlates with what I saw that day after I got out of that car. And you know, while I'm thinking this, and he's talking, and then he says, hold on, and he starts turning pages, and he's like, God just put something in me, and he's like, well, I want to explain something, and it's about a revelation. And he explained what a revelation was, and that's when I was like,
that's what you were.
I said, whoa. They started talking about God using vessels, people as vessels to deliver messages, and you know, I had chills go up my arm. You know, I had to stop and tell him my whole story. And you know, he started crying, and 2 or 3 other people were in the room started crying. And you know, I said, you know, God just used you as a vessel, and I told him why. What he wants is the same thing I want now, is to touch other people through God. He wants God to use him to get to reach to other people. And you know, that was the turning point, along with the car wreck. But that was the eye-opening moment, or the realization of, you know, why I was still on this earth.
Yes.
And that there was a higher power.
Yeah.
That you know, I had more meaning to my life than just existing, but I needed to live, not only for me and my family, but others.
Yes.
You know, a calling.
And God is really showing you that your life has meaning, isn't He?
He is.
Yes. How many likes have you had on your post?
Likes, I believe, is up to 187,000 likes plus. So,
yes, that's right.
So.
Yeah, and 115,000 people have shared it.
Right. So over half the people who see it share it. So that's what's amazing about it.
It really is. And how many comments have you had?
To say for sure, I'm going to say over 32,000. I don't have the exact number because it rapidly, it's still growing. But
it changes. It's got
right.
comments being added even this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so share with me what some of the people have said to you on those comments.
Well, I've brought some with me.
Yeah.
If that's all right. I chose 3. You know, there's so many to choose from. I didn't put their names on here, but these are just 3 of them that I got. Justin, so thankful for your testimony. Share with anyone that will listen. I wish my brother would have listened to someone. He had every opportunity to, but he didn't. He lived on the streets for the last 16 years, up until this past August. He was in some nasty hotel somewhere in Raleigh with his partner. He went on the streets one night and bought some bad stuff, shot up the next morning and overdosed. The police found him dead. I know it was all his fault. He could have changed. He didn't want to. I begged him many times to, but he wouldn't listen. He mistreated my dad and my family so bad that my dad wouldn't even give him a memorial service. Please don't give up on your sister. I know she has to want to change, but just like yourself, the Lord can change her. Keep sharing your story and don't let Satan or anyone else try and cause defeat. You and your wife, along with the Lord by your side, can make through anything. May the Lord richly bless you. This is the other one. Thanks for your testimony. My brother is in recovery now, and I shared your story with him. He's now in a sober living house. Praise God, and it's one day at a time. Thank you for sharing your story. God only knows what an inspiration it was for me to read it and write in a time of my storm that I battle every day. Thank you for helping me to remember it's worth the fight. God bless you. You know, on top of the messages, I had later, after I seen what was happening to my post, I'd edit it, and put my address, because a lot of people were asking me in messages for my address if they had people in prison or jail, loved ones that they wanted me to contact, or they wanted my address so that they can print out my testimony, and were sending it to inmates or whatever with my address. And I told them, if they write me, I'll write them back.
Yes.
So my address is on there, and I've gotten cards from people all over too, just telling me how moving it was to read my story, and just encouraging me and telling me that I'm doing the right thing, I'm in the right place. But this last one, I had actually posted on Facebook too, because it touched me early on, and it got a pretty decent response on there too. It's almost got 1,000 likes.
It got 1,000 likes?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a community. I done built a ground for Christian people and believers to come in and read and get encouragement and
Yes.
just see some of God's works.
Yes.
But this one says, I want you to know I read your message several times, and I'd like to share my own story with you. You're probably wondering, why would this girl I don't know want to tell me about her life? God worked a miracle through you, and I want to tell you that I've been greatly depressed, and today was the day I was going to end it all. Your message put hope and belief inside me again. I have always been a Christian, and I love God. I just lost my way, and for a few years I've been in a dark, lonely place. I'm not now on drugs, nor do I drink, but several years ago, a recreational drug called Lorazepam, which is a pain narcotic, turned me from being a good mom and devoted, godly wife into a person who pretty much lived day by day to only wake the next morning, to only worry where I'll get the money for my pills. I lost everything. I've been clean off pills for 7 years, but I now live with my mom, and I walk around like a zombie with no soul, for I can't forgive myself for the pain I caused my family and children. I even turned my back on God, for I was too ashamed to even talk to Him. You, Justin, you gave me the courage to fall on my knees and cry out for Him. I could almost feel Him touching my shoulder as I cried and prayed to Him. I know this won't sound unbelievable for a true Christian, but I heard Him. God told me, come back to me and live again. I'm sitting outside, even the day seems brighter. Thank you for helping me find my way back to Him. Thank you for saving me through Him. may God bless you, and I promise from today on, I will never lose focus on our Savior. God bless.
Amen.
So.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the power of the testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I think God's letting us know that our testimonies are so powerful.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea that your testimony would be this powerful, that it would be read across the nation and also into other countries? Did you have any idea?
I knew it was a good testimony. I'd learned a lot about testimonies and the Bible per se in general, in the faith-based rehab I went to. And, when we started sharing devotions every morning in rehab and speaking in front of, our rehab and going to different churches, I told some people up there my testimony, and like I said, I shared it in jail, and as I learned what a testimony's purpose was and what it was, and got some experience telling mine, I could see what it was doing by other people's reactions and their comments. So, I realized, there's power in this, and I'm in a position to be a great example of God's grace, God's love, and I'm a tool for Him, a vessel, just like that guy in jail was for me. I can be to other people. And when I posted it, I didn't know that it was gonna get the reaction it was. That it did, even though I knew Facebook was a platform where it could take off like it did potentially. But was I anticipating it to, or was I expecting it? No. Am I thankful it did?
Yes.
But I don't want any of the credit for what happened. That was God's doing. He just took control of that thing and started spreading it like wildfire. So.
Yes, He did. And I know that you want to give some credit to drug court. So we have about 1 minute.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about your appreciation for drug court?
Yes, ma'am. Well, drug court's been a huge tool for me as far as my recovery goes. They put me in a huge position to succeed, and they put all the tools that any active addict who feels hopeless in addiction and needs help doing, as far as counselors, groups, self-help harbors, RU, Celebrate Recoveries. These are all places that anybody suffering from active addiction can go to and reach out and get help, because the first thing that I found helped me was talking to somebody about it, and those are good people to talk to. So I just want to thank Miss Leanne Murphy, Hill Daniel, Judge Palmer, the whole drug court team for being there for me. But I know God put me in the program for obvious reasons, and I'm just thankful that it was there for me.
Yes, and we're thankful too. And I just want to say to all you who are watching, if you want to participate with something that God is doing on the earth today, right here in Troup County, go to Justin Williamson's Facebook and like it and share it. And we will see you again next week for more of You Make the Difference.
It's a year of replevin'. Got a promise from heaven. It's all coming.